And I'm going to put the spacer inside the middle there. Let's get it from a different angle. I'm going to put the spacer down in there and put the bolt through it. Put my other bracket on the other side. And then put my hardware stack up on. Now the hardware stack up is a flat washer, a lock washer, and a nut. I used the 5/16 bolt for this assembly. All right, so just kind of snugging it a little bit so that things will stay in place. All right. The next step is to put my next bolt in. Again, we've got well, that nut's goodbye. 5/16, 3 1/4 bolt, 5/16, 3 1/4, or you could use the metric. I don't remember what size it is, maybe a 10 or so. But 3 1/4 long is what you need. I got 3 1/2s, they're too long. I'll be putting different hardware on when I go to the store next. So all I'm going to do, again, flat washer through my bracket. I took the stock mount, just simply pulled it forward, right through there again, through my other bracket, put my hardware stack up on, and imagine me spinning a 5/16 nut on that I dropped down in the hole. All right. Now there is one caveat here to the final bolt. The final bolt will be same thing, a 3 1/4 again, the flat washer. I'm going to start it through, but I'm going to drop a regular flat washer in here. The reason being is the bracket that's back here, right here, that added some thickness that I couldn't compensate for. I could have machined it, but that would be much harder for somebody at home to do. So I'm showing you how to do it if you don't have a milling machine. Stick the washer in there, put it through the stock bushing. The other side, again, coming out of the bushing, we go through a washer, put it through the bracket, washer, lock washer, nut. All right. So there you go. That's pretty much moved out, right? So the issue becomes, if that was all that I did right now, this steering would be hard to turn. Notice it's not hard to turn at all. I've already modified the lower mount. Let me show you what you do to the lower mount. All right. So let's see here. Here we are. Here's the lower mount right here, right? Same thing, it's got the little wings. Let's try and zoom in on that. Got the little wings. Push those out. Stick your socket on. Smack it and push them out of the way. And then just simply spin your nuts out. All right. We'll take these off. They were only hand tight right now. Okay. Take this bracket off. Again, toss that thing away. We're never going to use it again. And somehow, some way, I have misplaced the little bracket. Yeah. Sometimes it's not worth it doing live. Okay, so like I said, once you get rid of the lock bracket, we're going to use this one later. So remember, this was the piece that was up top that went on the outside of the bracket up top, and I said to save it. This is where you're going to reuse it. You're going to use it down here. All right. So in any case, I said that if all you did was move the steering up top, it would bind down here. So the way to fix that is to actually take off the top cap And you want to leave your sleeves in the lower cap. All right? And what this is going to allow you to do is to take a little piece of pipe. Let me zoom out. Just got a piece of pipe, and we put the pipe over the actual sleeve. All right, can you see that? And then you're going to be prying down just a little bit. You're bending the stud ever so slightly downward. And that's going to cause the cap, because you're bending the stud and the sleeve and everything, the cap is going to rock ever so slightly. We figured it out. It's about 5/1000ths of an inch is the gap that you need on the back of the cap versus the bottom in order to get the proper steering geometry. We're talking like 4 pieces of paper thick. So all you're going to do is just pry a little bit until the sleeves begin to just shift around real easy. That's probably the point when the steering is going to be all aligned and everything. But you can keep testing for it by reassembling your steering. Drop your cap down, put your bar across, and you put the 2 nuts back on. Now, at this point, I only have regular nuts. I didn't stop at the fastener store. Whether you go to Fastenal, locally here we have a company called Hiwath Fastener that we deal with. But you're checking it for binding. If it's binding when you finger tighten it, it's definitely going to have a problem when you try to wrench tighten it. All right, but here there's no problem at all, because I had pre-bent these before, like I said. The step after this that I don't have would be not to put these nuts back. I would actually put a jam nut on. Now, do not confuse jam nuts with nylocks. I'm going to tell you right now, a nylock nut has no place being on that stud. Nylocks can freeze, they'll go brittle, vibration cracks it, and then that nut's going to come loose. You want what's known as a jam nut. A jam nut, if you look at it, it looks kind of deformed on one side. What they do is they create a regular nut, and then they bring in a press and they hammer it on 3 sides. They deform the edge of the bottom of the nut so that when you turn it on, it's an interference fit nut. It's unaffected by temperature. So that's what you need here. You need an interference fit nut. You could put Loctite on it, but that's going to be a heck of a time out on the trail. And Loctite has the same problem as Nylock. Unless you buy an extreme cold temperature Loctite, it can go brittle, it will crack, and then it's just as good as not having the Loctite at all. So my recommendation is you stick Nylocks down there, or not Nylocks, but a jam nut. All right? Easily obtained at any quality, fastener store. Maybe not at Home Depot or Lowe's or something. You might have to go to a place that specializes in fasteners. They're going to be able to hook you right up. It's a metric size down there. There's no way to take those studs out, unlike up top. Up top where I use the 5/16, those things are dime a dozen. I guarantee you could find those at Home Depot. All right? So again, $10 less than to pull off this mod. I bought the stainless the stainless stock that I used. I acquired on eBay. I try to buy everything not through my official sources at work or places that I've frequented. I try to find it online so that others can find it just as easily as I did. All right? Bought this 3/16 thick stainless steel stock. It was under $7 for 15 inches. You only need about 5.5 inches for each bracket. So you're talking 11 inches of stock, 1 inch wide, again, 3/16 or 1/4 inch thick. If you want to use aluminum, which is my recommendation, it's going to be easier to drill at home, 6061 T6. It's actually technically T6511. That would be the best stuff to use. It would be very rigid. If you could find it, 7075 flat bar would be great too, which has higher strength. It's more brittle. I don't think you're going to take hard shots sideways on those brackets. So there you have it. $10 mod for the Nytro that saves you 150 bucks. All right. Look it up on totallyyamaha.com. Thanks for your time.